Welcome to Your Genius Podcast, the personal and professional development podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners. My mission is to help you accelerate your most valuable asset. This asset is you. I believe you have an inner greatness, a greatness which can be used to inspire your most ambitious lifestyle. That greatness is your genius, and I'm here to help you discover yours. I'm Kia, high performance coach and lifestyle entrepreneur. I've been on a 12-year mission to find out what it takes to achieve lifestyle freedom. And now I'm here to help you do exactly the same. So get ready to dive in and start making more profits, earn back more time, and more importantly, start living that dream life you set out to achieve. Hello and welcome to episode 4. Is it 4 or 5? 4. I can't remember. Of the podcast, Your Genius Podcast. Anyway, welcome. I've just come off a Facebook Live, literally just come off a Facebook Live now. And I wanted to jump straight into a podcast now, because this is the thing, when you're doing like Facebook Lives and podcasts, it's really kind of good that you go with them when you're feeling the most energized, because then you can bring the most energy to whatever it is that you're doing. So if you're producing content, then when you need your most energy, it's a good time to figure out what that is for you. Like, when abouts in the day is that for you? For me, it's in the morning. So in the morning, I jump on a Facebook Live. Doing the live actually gives me a lot of energy, and I become quite creative after that, which is why I wanted to jump straight onto the podcast now, because it's fresh in my mind, but I feel quite energized, and I feel quite, let's just kind of go with it. So what's today's podcast about? Okay, so today's podcast is about embracing your weird, okay? Yes, you're weird. And this is a big, huge part for anybody who is in business. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, okay? But embracing your weird is absolutely huge. What I mean by this, it's just standing out, okay? It's just standing out in your business. You don't need to be a clown standing in, you don't need to be a clown in a funeral. But that is standing out, but that is really standing out. That's kind of out of place. You don't want to be out of place. It's just embracing the weirdness that you have, because the thing is, you have weirdness, you have uniqueness, you have difference. And this all comes down to confidence. And I spoke about confidence. I do speak about confidence a lot, because the thing is with confidence is what a lot of people struggle with. And I've noticed from my clients and the ones that I work with, and especially from my own experiences, confidence is always the biggest thing that holds you back. Why? Because there's one thing that will fear you the most, and this is social oppression, okay? Social oppression, where we always think we're being judged. We always think we're being criticized. We don't want to do things that other people don't expect us to do, because it's not on their expectations. So we're always living our lives based on what other people think and what other people's opinions of us could be. And you know what? I feel this is wrong, because social freedom, losing the social oppression and becoming socially free, it's absolutely liberating. And one of the biggest things you can do is embrace your weirdness. And I'm going to give you some examples for this, but just let's tell you a little bit about my own experience, because confidence has always been a huge thing for me. It's always been something I really struggled with. See, as a kid, like when I was younger in like junior school, I was always very confident. I was very very sure of myself. And this changed. I used to be, when I was younger, I used to do pantomimes at school, and I always used to strive to be the leader of the pantomime, like the lead role. And I always get excited about it. I used to have it at Christmas. I used to get excited for it, and I always used to audition and put everything I had into the audition to be the best actor to get the role of the lead. And I eventually achieved this on my very last year of junior school. And I was absolutely pumped when this happened. But this was kind of the person that I was. This is what I was like when I was younger. But then things changed. Things changed a lot. You do change as you get older. And especially when you hit sort of comprehensive school or high school, if you're listening in America, your confidence is questioned. You start looking at how people think you should be. You start acting certain ways. And a lot of people kind of get past this. For me, I didn't get past this. It actually got worse. And it got worse because at the age of 15, I suffered a brain hemorrhage. And this was just before my exam year. This was the summer before my exam year, and I suffered a brain hemorrhage, and it was life-threatening. I was like 15 minutes away from dying. And when I came back to school, so this kind of happened in the June, I came back to school in, I think it was the October, but within that time, I'd changed as a person. I didn't know how, but I knew I'd changed as a person. I knew I was different because I'd just had a massive trauma to my head. So I was going to be a little bit different. Now, that was just from a kind of internal perspective, but from a physical perspective, I had a massive bald patch on the back of my head. It must have been about 2 inches big. And it wasn't just a bald patch where, this was bald. This was like shiny bald. You could have polished it. It would actually probably make a squeaky sound. It was so bald. And I was very conscious of this. And there was a lot of things like that I was affected by. I walked a little bit differently. And when I went to school, my biggest fear was being judged. Not so much being judged, but people maybe not responding to me to how I was. Like back when I was at school, like back before my injury. And you know what? All of this was real. It all came back. And when I went to school, all these fears were real. I was kind of outcasted. Nobody really wanted to spend any time with us. I don't know why that was. I don't know whether it was because maybe they had their own insecurities because they didn't really understand what happened to me, or it was just the fact that I was just a little bit different. I don't know what that was, and I probably never will. But that's cool. I'm fine with that. But this affected me later on in life. It actually got worse. So as I grew up, as I started developing into jobs and going to college and these kind of things, it actually got worse. It never got any better. And I used to use alcohol to suppress this. Not in a kind of get drunk like an alcoholic every night type of way, but I would go out on weekends and I would party. That's when I felt alive. That's when I felt I could be myself, when I was using alcohol. I would use alcohol as a way to allow me to express myself without worrying about what other people think. Now, maybe you felt the same kind of thing. But I never got past this until, probably, I would say in my 30s. And I always struggled with this confidence thing well into my 30s. And even when I started my first business, the gym, I was very, very unconfident. And I kind of hid behind the logo. I actually brought staff into my gym and I would hide behind them. Not physically hide behind them, but I would allow them to be the front of my business. So I didn't have to be, because I was really unconfident. Thing is, I was really confident in my abilities. Like, I knew when had the gym, I was a good personal trainer. I knew I was a good personal trainer, but I still lacked confidence. I lacked the social confidence. I lacked, putting my work out to the general public, and I was scared to what that would come back. How would people perceive that? Will they call me out? Would they find holes in it, and would they tell me, that's not real, or you've been an idiot, or whatever it is? What would that be? And for years, I would try to get smarter. I would try to be more intelligent because I thought that was always my downfall. But the thing is, it wasn't. My downfall is I wasn't being myself. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing to my confidence. I wasn't being myself. I wasn't expressing my opinions, not properly anyway. And I wasn't expressing my work. I wasn't doing things that I should have been doing because I was worried about what other people thought. And once you kind of get past this, it's absolutely liberating. It changes the game. Because then you think, well, what was I so worried about? If somebody doesn't like who you are, is that your problem or their problem? It's not your problem. Okay? It's not your problem. And that's the thing. This is what I want this podcast to be for now today. Because I want you to start embracing your weirdness. And I want to show you how you can actually do this. Okay? In a real life world. I'm going to give you some examples here. I'm going to take you back to 2009. So 2009 was, 2009 X Factor. Okay? So I can't remember when the X Factor started, but how many people can you recite now from the X Factor? Probably not very many. But if I mention one name, you're probably going to know who this person is straight away, right? Stacey Solomon. Do you know who that is? Everybody knows who Stacey Solomon is, right? If you are in England, you definitely know who she is. If you happen to be in a different country and you don't know who she is, I would give her a follow. Google her. Because why has Stacey Solomon got to where she's at? Why has Stacey Solomon not fell into the void of the 15-minute frame like most other people have, because she was different, because she didn't hide any of her flaws. She gave herself 100%, and she still does that. She'd done that at the very start of the X Factor, and people thought she was different. But then people start to love her differences. She's not everybody's cup of tea, and that is the whole point. But she started embracing her difference. She was showing people who she was, the real her, and she's continued to do that. And she's seen absolute phenomenal success. You know, she went in as a singer, and she's got a very good voice. She's a good singer. But now she does TV work. She does all these different things because she's just being real. She's showing people who she is. Had a conversation with my wife the other day, Claire, about this very thing. And I said to her, Claire, why are you so obsessed with Stacey Solomon? Because she is. She just loves Stacey Solomon. And she says, because she's just so funny. She's just so real. You know, everything she does, I can relate to. She's a mom, I'm a mom. And everything she's doing, I kind of cringe, but I laugh because I know how real it is. And the thing is, Stacey Solomon is appealing to the people she needs to appeal to. Okay? She doesn't appeal to me specifically. I think she's amazing, by the way. I think what she does is amazing. I think she's so real and so inspirational. But I don't necessarily follow what she does because it doesn't relate to me directly. However, it relates to Claire. Okay? That is the difference. By standing out in your business, look, if you have, again, just use Stacey Solomon. Stacey Solomon is a product, okay? She is a brand. Many people don't look at celebrities like this. They don't see celebrities and think, wow, they're just a celebrity. They're a business. Will Smith is a business, okay? He's a brand. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's a brand. Athletes, they're a brand. No, look at Usain Bolt, Joshua, I've gone completely blank. Joshua, the heavyweight boxer. Man, Anthony Joshua. These are brands, okay? It's looking at this and thinking, okay, what is it? It's the personal brand. It's their personal brand. And this is what's getting so big now. If we look at how the business world is developing, it's not big companies with a logo. It's personal brands. People buy from people. People trust people. And this is where the world is going. And it's been a big shift for a long, long time. But personal branding now is so important. This is why getting your uniqueness, putting your uniqueness out there, what makes you different? How can you appeal to the people you need to appeal to? Because you're not going to appeal to everybody. Do you know what? You don't want to appeal to everybody because that just makes you vanilla. Okay? And this is going to make you're just going to fall in with the rest of the noise. You will fall in with the rest of the noise because that's what everybody else is doing. Everybody else sells a product and that's all they do. They sell a product. Awesome, sell a product. What makes yours different? You know, it doesn't have to, you know, when you're looking for a difference in your product, it doesn't have to be difference in terms, mine's unique because it has all these different gadgets. It's no, you make it unique. Your difference makes it unique because then the same type of people are going to be attracted to you. They're going to be attracted to your business. They're going to be attracted to what you do. You're going to repel the people who aren't attracted to it. And that's what you want in a business. You don't want to be attracting people who you don't want in your business. You want to be attracting the people who do want to be in your business. You do want to have in your business. You know, if you're a coach, you want to attract a person who is very similar to you or has the same type of interest or the same type of drive, because then you're going to bond well with that person. If you're attracting a completely opposite person, I'm not saying this doesn't work, but in a general case, if you attract someone who doesn't, who is the kind of polar opposite of you, the chances are it's not going to work out. So it's getting those people and attracting those people based on your values, based on who you are, based on you being confident enough to tell people who you are. And this is kind of what I want to get through this podcast because it's absolutely huge. I mean, if you look at, if we take another example, look at Gary Vaynerchuk, okay? If we look at Gary Vaynerchuk, for most people, you know, if for most business professionals looking at Gary Vaynerchuk and say, man, he's so unprofessional. Why is Gary Vaynerchuk so deemed as so unprofessional? Because every other word is fuck, okay? He can't say a sentence without saying fuck. That is just who he is. That is what he does. It's who he is. He's not trying to hide who he is. He's not trying to hide anything different. But a lot of people look at him and say, well, he's just unprofessional. He just swears all the time. No, it's what makes him different. Because do you know what? Gary Vaynerchuk is actually a really, really smart dude. Gary Vaynerchuk is a very selfless person. All he wants to do is help other people. But it's his uniqueness that draws people in. Because when you think of Gary Vaynerchuk, the first thing you think about is somebody who swears a lot, but is very, very passionate in what he does. So the thing is, if you swear a lot, then why hide that? Why hide the fact that you swear a lot? If you're very opinionated about something, why hide that? Why don't you just be opinionated about what you're passionate about? Because then people see who you really are. They see what you really stand for, and they see what you're really about. And this is the important part. And it's that uniqueness that you have, that difference you have, it's not a detriment, it's a power. It's an absolute superpower. Again, another example. Let's use Arnold Schwarzenegger as an example. If you've read his book, you'll already know this, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, for years and years, was told to change his accent, okay? He said, you'll never get anywhere with that accent. It just, people don't understand it. It's just, you need to lose it. He actually went to acting school. He went to, a language school, and he tried to lose his accent. He even said he would spend all his days training, and then on the night time he'd be trying to kind of change his voice so he could get into the. And then he just thought, do you know what it is? This is who I am. This is who I am. If they don't like it, it's their problem. And what happened? What happened? Terminator happened. Okay, Terminator happened. Terminator wouldn't have been Terminator without Arnold Schwarzenegger in his crazy accent. Terminator wouldn't have got anywhere near the success it's seen if it wasn't for Arnold Schwarzenegger and his crazy accent. That put Arnold Schwarzenegger on the map to be, Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't the best actor, is he? He's quite wooden. He's quite a wooden actor. You can't say he's the best actor, but you know what it is? He doesn't need to be the best actor, because his uniqueness is what makes the films that he's in. Every film he's in is based on his uniqueness. And if you look at all these actors who succeeded, they do exactly the same. They do exactly the same. They embrace the differences. They embrace their uniqueness, and they use this to their advantage. And this is absolutely huge. And I just hope this kind of makes some sense, because if you want to gain some confidence, then starting with this is absolutely huge. I do have a process that you do go through and build confidence with. And I did go through this yesterday on a Facebook Live, and I'll not go through it today because it's more of a visual thing, and obviously this is a podcast and I can't really show you anything. I can only tell you. But I do have like a 3-step process to gain confidence. But the biggest thing I'd say is embrace your weirdness, embrace your uniqueness, because you can use this to your advantage. People will love you for your uniqueness, or the right people will love you for your uniqueness. And this is something that's going to make you stand out. This is something that's going to make your business different. But you know what? Away from business, this is something that's going to give you so much joy and so much confidence in life. Do you know what one of the biggest things for me was, again, I hid myself for years. I hid the real me for years. Even when I met Claire, my wife, I still wasn't the real me. I wasn't fake. I just wasn't giving her my real me because I was afraid of that person. I was afraid of how I'd have been judged or how people would perceive that. When that started coming out was when I had kids. Kids brought the best out of me. Kids made me realize that I need to deliver this. I need to give people the best of me, because when I started doing it to my kids and I started giving them the best of me, then things just changed. Things changed in me, but things changed in our lives. We have a better relationship. Even Claire will say, you're so much different now to what you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And it's amazing to see how much you're changing. But the thing is, she's actually starting to see the real person who I've always wanted to be. And this is absolutely huge. It is. It's just, and I know a lot of people struggle with this. So if you get anything from this podcast, it's just, look, your weirdness is your power. Don't hide it. Don't worry about what people think of it. Just start expressing it. Start showing people the real you. Start doing whatever that is. I don't know what that is for you. You know what it is. Whatever it is, just start being the real you. Just start doing it. And it's game changing. It's game changing. It really is. Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted this podcast to be about. I was a little bit I was pumped up by it because I really wanted to express that and just get that out there, because it's something that's really passionate to me. It's something that really I hold deep down. And it's something I've worked on. I know how much difference it makes to your life, how much difference it's made to my life, how much difference it makes to my client's life as well. Because the biggest thing that they struggle with when they come in, they think it's a system thing, or they think it's something that they're not doing. It's because they're not being confident, they're not showing them real selves. And when they don't do this, they don't realize the true potential. They're not realizing what they're actually capable of, because they're holding back. And when you hold back, you set yourself limitations. Once you hold back, you're setting yourself barriers that you're going to struggle to get past. So you just got to break them by saying, do you know what? This is who I am, and I'm going for it. So I hope that was insightful. I hope you got some stuff from that. Again, I want to help you guys on this. So I've got a free Facebook group. You go into the show notes. There's loads of links in the show notes to different areas, to how I can help you, from a free Facebook group to jumping on my emails, to working with me one-to-one. I've also got a course coming out in March. I'm just done finishing that at the minute. And this course is all about creating a vision, setting some goals, creating courage and confidence, and using your uniqueness to make that work. I've got processes, I've got steps that you can take to use this. And that's what this program is all about. It's called the Entrepreneur Expansion. Okay, so watch out for that coming out. I'm going to be releasing that in March. So if you follow us on social, I'll be talking about that soon. It will be in the show notes once I got that up and running. The link to that will be in the show notes. But until then, I've got a free Facebook group. Come and join us. Yes, embrace your weight. Thanks for listening. I'll catch up with you later. So thanks for listening today. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like more daily insights, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. The links are in the show notes. If you want to jump on my weekly emails, you can, follow another link in the show notes and subscribe to my emails. But if you really want to step it up and you want to work with me directly, all you need to do is just follow the link in the show notes, and I'll jump on a free strategy call with you. So thank you for being here, and just remember this: everything that's happened so far in your life has been perfect. Now it's time to use these experiences and unleash your genius.